Were you robbed on Netflix? Is it cake?
No, my God, no.
What happened?
I was okay. So
what happened?
Okay, so here's what had happened. I started making hyper-realistic cakes right at the beginning of the pandemic. Until then, I was doing more like traditional-looking cakes. And by the way, we filmed in 2021. I started in 2018 or 19, so I hadn't been baking that long. And I was not ready to compete on Is It Cake. But the casting people found me online, I guess, because it was a new show. No one had done it yet. So they weren't doing like an open call or whatever. They were just like reaching out to people they found online. So they saw one cake I did, and it was like my first hyper realistic cake. It wasn't even good. And they were like, hey, we're casting for this new show. Would you like to be on it? And I was like, again, fame whore, camera whore. I was like, yeah, sure. But then I was like panicked because I was like, no, I'm not ready for this.
They're hard. Those baking competition shows, they're like timed. They're like really hard.
So here's a little tea for you.
Yeah, it's not just being a good baker. That's a talent all of its own, being a good baker. It's being a good baker for a camera in a competition setting where there's a lot of time constraints.
Yep.
And not only that, but you have to be a phenomenal multitasker because not only are you making your recipe and decorating, but they also will have a camera crew come over and kind of interviewing you while you're working.
Oh.
And so you have to kind of explain to them what you're doing at every step of the way.
Yeah.
While you're, I mean, it's a lot of things to focus on.
It's too much.
It's actually a talent of its own. Like competition baking is like its own category.
You never competed, did you?
I would never.
You hosted.
I'll host because I am a grandmother baker.
Wait, I didn't know this about you. I'm a grandmother baker.
I'm a grandmother baker.
I go like snail's pace.
I like to sip a little wine, bake my cookies, take my time. Yep. If I went on one of these shows, my dad said I have two speeds, slow and stop.
Yes.
And so if I went on one of these shows and they're like, you've got 1 hour to make the most incredible cookies, I would be like, I would just finally plan it out, measure everything out. And then they'd be like, ding, buzzards up. And I'd be like, well, let me tell you about the concept of what I was going to bake, because that's where I am in the process.
I'm so happy to hear that because I couldn't relate more. To answer your question, no, I was not robbed on Is It Cake. I actually performed way better than I thought I would, even though my cakes on season 1 were like gnarly, whatever.